First of all, we want to thank all our fans for your loyal support of the Talking Sopranos podcast, and a lot of you have been writing in asking about merchandise, Talking Sopranos podcast merchandise. So we decided to create some.
Yep. Show them your shirt. Show them that beautiful Talking Sopranos shirt. I don't have mine on. There you go.
Talking Sopranos.
There you go. Talking Sopranos. With Michael Imperioli and Steve Schirripa, and you guys wanted the merch. We love doing it. There's a whole lot of variety. If you go to talkingsopranos.com, there's women's shirts, there's long sleeve white shirts, black shirts, all kinds of stuff. You got
and there's this
nice mug, Talking Sopranos. You want to buy a gift for someone? There you have it. talkingsopranos.com. Get your merchandise.
Or you go to the YouTube channel and you'll see a way to buy the merchandise on YouTube. You could pretend you're doing your own Talking Sopranos podcast. You could put this on, you could drink, you could buy some Bose headphones and
you
pretend
could
me or Steve.
Impersonate me and Michael and
yes.
Yell at each other and say stupid things to each other. All right.
Yes. So check it out. Keep on listening. We love you and thank you for supporting this show.
Thank you. Well, hello, pal.
How are you, buddy?
I'm all right. I got a couple of things I want to get out of the way very quickly. Okay?
All right.
So last week, a friend of mine calls me. Some guy goes on a radio show, and he's saying he was there. He was Jim's stunt double, which we know was Frankie Ferrara for years. May he rest in peace. A good guy, Frankie. And this guy claims there were 5 different endings on The Sopranos. 5 different ones.
And where was this guy? On what?
Now.
He's a liar.
Correct. Now, I don't know who the gentleman may be, but there was no 5 different endings. What there was one on the episode where Uncle Junior shoots Tony, and I don't know which one that was. They had Frank Vincent, Phil Leotardo, shoot into Uncle Junior's window,
right,
just to fool the crew.
That was a fake.
That was a fake.
Fugazi, yeah.
It wasn't the ending of The Sopranos, but it was because they found out a crew member was selling storylines. Matter of fact, when Tony killed Christopher, that was actually on the internet back then in 2000.
Do you know who the crew member was?
I do not know.
Do you suspect somebody?
No.
I have my suspicions, I'll be honest with you.
Okay. I don't know who it was, but they were selling it. It was in the Inquirer at the time, and even the internet was kind of newish, right? All right. So that's a lie. There were no endings. What you saw that day at the diner is what you saw. What you think happened is up to you. I happen to think he lives. Other people think what they think. There was also a Bada Bing girl at some point saying she saw different endings, that Tony dies. And this guy also said there was one where Tony dies. Now, they're lying. Steve Perry from Journey, I read an article about this guy. He claims that he saw the episode before he would agree.
But he claimed that? You saw that?
He claimed that. I read
quoted?
it. I read the article. He claimed that
he saw the cut or he saw the script?
I took it as he saw the cut of the last episode before he would agree, and that is also not true. He may have seen the script. And this I got from Terry Winter, who wrote 25 episodes, who talked to David. So this is basically from the horse's mouth. There was no false endings. What you saw is what you saw.
And these false claims are really getting under your skin, it seems.
Well, they do, because I think people
you
want to
seem
be
very wound up about it.
Well, people want to be relevant, and people want to, make it like I was there. I mean, people do whatever they do for whatever reason. And
yeah.
You know what? I'll be honest. When we watched the finale in Florida,
Yeah.
the next day, and I was terribly hungover. I know it's hard to believe. But the next day I was in my room and I was watching all the shows, that were all recapping the finale.
The news shows,
that was
entertainment
big news.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And they had people on. There was different endings and this happened and that happened. And I bought into it myself. I said, really? And then I've come to find out, which I've known for years, that there was, no other endings. And I just wanted to double check. And
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm glad that we got, I always heard that Steve Perry did see it, that he wouldn't agree to give his song unless he saw it, which makes sense to me.
No.
It's a song that he loves. He doesn't want it to be associated with a famous bloodbath or some horrific scene of carnage. I get
agree.
that. That makes sense. It's a great song.
Why a Bada Bing girl, or why someone would say, I saw one where Tony got killed and this and that, I don't understand.
They're trying to get on TV or on the radio, and they did.
Exactly. So we got that out of the way.
All right, good.
People are going to complain. It's spoilers. Listen, it's 13 years. There's no more spoilers.
There's no more spoilers. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it and then come back to us. We'll be here.
Absolutely.
We'll be waiting for you.
It's a spoiler. Guy's going to complain to me on Twitter. It's a spoiler. What the? Yeah. Why'd you tell me what happened at the end? Jesus Christ. What's wrong with you?
So, episode 7 of season 2, D-Girl.
Yeah. And it's about...
Which is about Hollywood and about show business, and the kind of the... the connection between, you have this character, Christopher, who's not in show business, who wants to be in it, and he's trying to find a way in. And show business is a weird, there's all sorts of levels of show business, There's for real show business and there's fake show business. And people who, when Summer Sam, which I co-wrote with Victor Colicchio and Spike Lee directed. Before we got it to Spike, we tried to produce it on our own. I was going to direct it. And we, what you try to do is you get your people who are stars to commit and write a letter of intent and then try to get producers and raise money. And it's a real difficult battle to do that. And we met a couple of producers who were investors. They weren't really movie producers, I don't think. They were investors. But one guy tried to do subliminal mind control on me. Like we met him and he would do stuff like, well, I think you wrote a really good script monetarily, but I think you guys got a long way to go on the draft financially. He would mutter these kind of subliminal things about money. And I stopped him. I said, I'm sorry, what's going on here? I swear to God, he was trying to.
And he was supposedly a movie producer?
He supposedly. This really happened. He was muttering words like monetarily, financially, and peppering it in between, our discussion about whether he wanted to come on board as a producer or not. I mean, literally was doing that. We had another meeting with a guy who flipped out on us when we decided we didn't want to work with him. And we were in a bar of a hotel. And he started yelling in the middle of the bar, said, "You don't know who I am. I'm Gordon Gekko from the movie Wall Street," screaming it. And he was just some weird, I don't even know how we met him, but he said he could raise the money, but a lot of people just bullshit you.
Yeah.
There was another guy who was supposedly a billionaire from Korea. And every time we were supposed to meet him, they picked like a diner, like on 23rd. It was like this billionaire wants to meet us in a diner. Every meeting, he couldn't make it in the last minute. We're all waiting, and he never showed up. And it was, his lawyer was there, but his lawyer seemed like a fake. I mean, it was just some of the weirdest situations I've ever been in.
And what do you think? What do you think that's about with people? Why do they get off? Do they get off on you wanting them and needing them? I mean, is that what that's about? Like, I'm a fake, I'm going to make believe I can help you. Like a friend of mine, a legit producer, line producer, he met this guy, and the guy said he was starting a company like it was going to have movies. It was going to be like a studio, basically, movies and music and this and that. And he had one phone call with my friend Elliot, and he said, "You're going to be in charge of production of the studio. We're going to make movies. You're in charge of that." And this other woman was in charge of that. So he had a meeting. He called a meeting, and they met him. I mean, my friend is going, the guy sounds weird, but stranger things have happened. He needed it to work. And they met on the concierge floor of like a Marriott, where you get the free hors d'oeuvres and shit.
Right, which is always a good sign.
So that's where the guy called a meeting.
Right.
And then after the meeting, he called my friend. He said, "You know what? You're so good. I was going to pay you $225,000 a year. I'm now giving you $300,000 a year." I mean, it was complete bullshit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, was this guy getting off? I mean, do these people get off on, you need me and you're going to kiss my ass? I mean, is that what
I guess it's partly that. Some of them maybe are taking a shot to see if, maybe if the right stars get on board. I had just done a movie with Christopher Walken, and we had a couple of scenes together. We didn't really get to know each other very well. And somehow I got his number, maybe through Georgianne or something. And I left him a message, and I said, I sent him the script. I said, we're trying to attach some people. We offered him a part. And he was one of the few people who actually got back to. I came home one day. There was a message on my machine. It's like, "Hey, Michael, it's Chris Walken." I can't do Chris Walken. I wish I could.
Ben Cazzara.
I should do Ben as Chris Walken. And he was like, "It seems like fun. Yeah, sure. You can use my name." It was, I'll never forget that,
Sure.
Because there were people who were friends of mine who wouldn't do that, commit.
Friends of yours.
But anyway, if you attach the right stuff, maybe you can get investors. So maybe they're seeing what they could do. But some people are just nuts too,
I think.
But I have to admit, I've lied myself trying to get a part. I mean, when they were casting Godfather 3, I was still in my early 20s probably. And they weren't even saying what it was. It was called Secret Journal. They weren't saying who the director was. It was just called the Secret Journal Project, and they were seeing a bunch of Italian Americans. But somehow we found out what it was. And they were looking for the son to play, one of Michael Corleone's sons is an opera singer. So I actually said that I sang opera, which I absolutely do not. And I don't know what I was thinking, what I was going to do, fake it somehow. So I went in to meet Rosalie Joseph. So I wound up, casting director, I wound up getting to know her. Eventually, she said, "So you sing opera?" I said, "Oh, yeah, I could sing opera." She goes, "Really? You really sing opera?" I said, yeah.
Did she ask you to sing a few?
She didn't, and I didn't get a call back. I think she just knew I was I don't know what I was going to do.
I love Rosalie Joseph. She's a friend of mine.
Fantastic. But I don't know what was I going to do if they said, "Okay, Francis is coming, Coppola's coming next week, prepare." I mean, what would I have done?
What would you have done? You know what you would have done? You would have got an opera coach, and you would have tried to fake it the best you can.
I don't think that's something you can really fake.
And
but that's how desperate, I was. I was a kid when I started.
You're talking two different things. You were lying to get a job. These people are lying for we don't know the real reason why they're lying. I understand to fudge a little, listen, you're trying to do a business deal, you fudge the numbers, you're not necessarily lying, the little white lies. I mean, these people aren't in the business, they don't have any money. I mean, there's a lot of fakes. For as many good people are in the business, there's a lot of bad people trying to get in. I guess show business is much more exciting than sitting in a cubicle or selling, hangers or plastics or whatever, Maybe. Everyone seems to be enthralled. Not everyone, but a lot of people enthralled by show business. It's also, look, you must get it a lot also. People ask me, my son, my daughter, my grandson, trying to be an actor. Can you talk to him? Right? You must get a lot of this stuff.
All the time.
And I say, listen, I don't know what I can do. I mean, I can't help anyone, but I could give them some advice. And there's so much bullshit. And I would say to them, the first thing I say is, so you're in class, you're taking class. Oh, I did that already. What do you mean you did that? been doing this for 25, 30 years. I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
You know, so
Wow.
you know everything. You learned it. You went to school. You learned it. There's a lot of these scam schools.
Well, it's also people. I tell people to go to school not just to learn acting technique, but also to be around people at your level who will become maybe your peer group, which is what happened to me. I started working like with Johnny Ventimiglia and other people, and we started doing theater outside the class and writing our own stuff. I mean, that's more important even than the teacher necessarily.
No.
But a lot of people don't want to hear that. They figure,
No.
well, you're in the business, so you give me a break. But it doesn't work. You might be able to give somebody a line on a show, but that's not going to really do much for their career.
No. But that's what they don't understand. Listen, I got numerous people auditions on The Sopranos. And also on the other show I was on, Secret Life, I recommended people, and Blue Bloods. I've helped them if they're right for a role. I mean, I got them into audition. I can't get you the role, but I could get you up to the plate. That's something that people don't understand.
If they can act. You're not going to get
If they can act. Listen, yeah. Jim Gandolfini, the star of The Sopranos, had a friend who auditioned for one line and did not get it. One line. Right. Jim told me that himself. I said, I had a friend. He went in for one line. He didn't get it. You believe that? I guess the guy couldn't do it, right? But my point is there's a lot of these scam schools. You know, first of all, an agency, you know, I found an agency. They want to sign me. They want me to pay $200. Okay. Right there, you know.
Or they want me to buy pictures through their photographer that they recommend.
They want me to take acting lessons through their person for $4,000. Another thing, just the 200 to join, they get 1,000 people. This is how they thrive. So a lot of times they'll be at these fairs, right, in the mall or at these street fairs, acting, modeling school, and they prey on people, especially younger people, kids with their parents, and they'll say, "Oh, you would be perfect for this role. Join the school. The school's $4,000. Then take acting lessons. Then do this. Then take our headshots, and you get nothing."
And people want to believe that because it's a hard business to break into. Nobody knows how to break into it. It's a catch-22. You can't get a job unless you have an agent. You can't get an agent unless you have a job. You can't get into the union unless you've worked. You can't work unless you're in the union. There's all these catch-22s, and you just got to keep going. And just like it's kind of, you know, clawing up, you know, brick by brick somehow. You know
what I think, I agree with you 1,000%. It's all of that stuff. What I think you need to do is, one, learn what you're doing. Because I honestly do believe that,
that helps.
If you stay with it long enough, you know, if you stay with it long enough, I do believe that you will get a shot somewhere, somehow.
Yeah.
If you're serious about it, and you better be prepared when that time comes, because you may not get many. So that's number one. Number two, like you said, hang around with other actors. You know, if you want to be a basketball player, you hang around with other ball players, you know, where the game is, you know, and you know, that I think is a big deal. Check backstage, check student films. Now, a lot of people have cameras. They make their own movies. I mean, it's not like the old days. Like you were saying, as obviously you could see all the shit that's out there. It looks like somebody made a movie in their backyard. There's a lot of that.
And mob stuff has a lot of
yes.
crap. There's a lot of crap mob movies that are made by people who don't know what the hell they're doing.
Well, like I said, after The Sopranos, every Italian guy with a vowel at the end of his name thought he could act suddenly. You know, I mean, and without doing the work, you know, do the work. I mean, you know, get in, like I said, get into class, learn what you're doing. If you were going to be a plumber, you got to go to plumbing school. You got to know how to change the pipes. You don't just become, all right, I'm a plumber. What the fuck, right?
I guess.
So, you know, listen, if you want to get into it, it's never too late. And, you know, you don't have to necessarily make a living at it. People want to just have fun, dinner theater, plays. There's all kinds of ways to do it. It's always easier to get a manager than an agent, I think. Because, you know, a manager's main job for the most part is to get you an agent.
Yeah.
And managers seem to be a little easy. It's hard to get an agent. They're bombarded, you know. But what do I know? That's my shit, you know.
Our season 2 of The Sopranos, episode 7, titled "D Girl," which is short for Development Girl, aired February 27th, 2000. Written by Todd Kessler. This is the first of 4 episodes he wrote. He also was the creator, I guess, of Damages, right? Did he create that show? Damages,
I believe him and his brother.
Him and his brother, Glenn, who was an
good
actor.
guy. He hung around
Glenn's an actor as well. Yeah.
Remember him in Vegas?
Damages and Bloodline. Those are 2 shows that they created. So
very talented guy, very nice guy.
Directed by Alan Coulter.
Great episode.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because I think what you really see are the parallels between Christopher and Pussy, right? Pussy, who's now a rat and who's working with the feds, revealing secrets, and Christopher, who may want to reveal secrets, not to get anybody in jail, but to really get him out of the life into Hollywood. So it's an interesting kind of parallel that's set up here.
Also, one thing I noticed, now this is season 2, episode 7. Tony has not spoken to his mother this entire season.
Since she was on the gurney, right?
Since she was on the gurney. That was episode 13 of the first season. This is pretty interesting. They've been in the same room together, the funeral parlor. They were at the recital, but they have not spoken or uttered a word yet. It'd be interesting when that finally does happen. Number 2, no Uncle Junior, no
Bacala,
no Bacala, no Paulie, no Silvio.
Right.
A very little. You see Richie for a second. Not a whole lot. So it's a very interesting. It's a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. And we open up, and you got the Mercedes. AJ's driving. He hits the landscaping truck, smashes the side of the car. Obviously, he's not old enough to drive. And holy shit, and he's in trouble.
Yeah.
Next up, a nightclub. Christopher comes in with Adriana, and they meet Christopher's cousin.
Cousin Gregory, who he mentions in the pilot. He mentions, my cousin Gregory has a girlfriend who's a development girl in Hollywood and worked for Tarantino. She said I could sell my script. So this is now, 19 episodes later, we're going back to that this idea, that he brought up.
What I noticed here, listen, Adriana, not the brightest girl, but she really gives a shit about
Big heart.
Man, I got to tell you, I kind of feel bad for her in this episode.
Yeah.
She really, Chris doesn't treat her very nicely. She's a nice girl. Like I said, maybe not the brightest, but they meet. Adriana's a little out of sorts here. She's out of her element. There's a Jersey girl coming into Manhattan, and she thinks this girl, Amy, the vice president here, that works for Favreau, Amy Severe, she's sophisticated Hollywood, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's the red eye. What's the red eye? We're at night. She came in on the red eye. What's that? Oh, she's tired from this morning.
She's showing off a little.
Very pretentious. Mentions Tarantino, mentions Favreau. Typical kind of Hollywood shit.
And she uses those buzzwords like he's a friend and he's accessible, words like that, down to earth. It's all bullshit. But
it's all bullshit.
Really, really wonderful performance by Alicia Witt, who plays Amy Saphir. Alicia Witt was in Dune, the David Lynch movie, when she was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
So when she was 5, you remember that show, That's Incredible?
Sure.
It's a TV show, and people would do our, incredible, skills and feats of whatever. She was on That's Incredible when she was 5, reciting Romeo and Juliet. That's how she got discovered. She's also a musician, a pianist, has released albums. She did a song, recorded a song with Ben Folds, but she classical pianist. One night after we shot, when Victoria and I had the bar, we hung out. She hung out with my wife and I, and she played classical piano in the bar because we had a piano there. She's So she worked with Lynch again on Twin Peaks, but she is a really good actress.
Well, she does an incredible job there. She's also doing it for 40 years or so.
Yeah.
She's really good in this. I buy her every moment, every second. And, Adriana's intimidated. She's a little out of place here. Chris is annoyed. She says, I read the script. It's the best I've ever read. How many scripts she's read, Adriana, but
Chris is embarrassed by her. I think he seems
sure.
she's acting like she's somebody from New Jersey, and he wants to act like more, somebody
in
Manhattan or Hollywood or something. She also mentions Vince Vaughn, which actually Drea eventually at some point in real life became friends with Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Isn't that the one where Johnny V almost went at it with Vince Vaughn one night? Did that happen?
Did that? I wasn't there.
I think they had a famous argument.
Did they?
Maybe I'm wrong.
You never know. I'm sure it was very late at night.
There.
I was not there. Cousin Gregory Moltisanti is played by Dominic Famusa, who was also on Nurse Jackie with Edie. They call each other Faccia Brute, which means ugly face. They seem to be close, but yet later on, Christopher.
Yeah. And then now
how close are they? Christopher betrays him later on. But Chris got a great outfit on, all that red.
Great tie.
Great tie. Good look. Good job, Juliet.
But so then the guy is bumping into, into Gregory, and he's annoying. He bumps into them a couple of times, and Christopher gets up, and the guy gives him a derogatory bridge and tunnel guy, which means, for people that don't know, people in Manhattan, they talk about bridge and tunnel people. Those are people from Jersey and the outer boroughs. Very
Long Island. Jersey,
Long
Island,
Jersey, Staten Island,
Yeah.
It's, you took a bridge and tunnel to get here. Very condescending, but so it goes. They still use that term. Now, Christopher whispers in the guy's ear. What do you think he said to him? Or what did he say to him?
He might have pressed his gun up against him. If he had a gun on his hip or on his side, he might have pressed it against it and said, "Feel that? I'm gonna stick it up your ass and pull the trigger." Something like that, maybe.
What did you actually say to the guy?
I don't remember. It's a long time ago.
But
I think I said something like that.
I would have thought he would have, picked it up or showed it to him, unless he had it on his ankle, which we see later. So I don't know. But I mean, if you would have had it right there.
Yeah, could have leaned into it. You feel that, something like that.
Whatever he said, they got out of there in a hurry.
They got in. They went to Tribeca Grill, our friend Drew's restaurant.
We love Tribeca Grill. That's one of our hangouts. Also, when Christopher whispers to the guy and the guy backs down, Amy, she loves every second of it.
She looks up at him and she's enchanted.
She is more than enchanted right there.
Yeah. They're kind of enchanted with Christopher's enamored with show business, and
she's very turned on by it. And she invites them to the set. And Adriana is looking forward to that. Chris is a little grumpy.
Yeah, he says swingers can suck my dick. He looks, thinks the movie kind of sucked. I actually like that scene a lot. This is a little simple scene between Christopher and Adriana. I don't know, something about the simplicity of it. I liked my acting in it, which I don't always do. Like, a hit is a hit. That a lot of that's acting. Yeah. I really don't like what I did in that one. But this moment, simple, honest. I like.
She's very impressed, but he says, she said you should slip him the script, and she said, and he says, well, I threw it away. She gives him a look. She's got it. She saved it for him.
She's looking out for him.
She's got his back the entire way.
Absolutely.
The Soprano house. Carmela's sitting in the car. She sees the damage. Of course, AJ, it wasn't my fault. She says, you stole my car. Where's the trust in this house? Robert Isla, so good in this. So good in this episode.
Yeah. It's a good portrayal of that adolescent angst and it's
also what's to become.
It's just starting now. It's going to get a lot worse.
But he's really, really good in it. And he says, I'm a man. I'm about to be confirmed. Why can't I drive? He says, yeah, you were a man when we had to pick you up at camp. You went to bed, and he said that was 2 years ago.
And he's talking about how life is absurd, the absurdity of life. There is no God. They say it's this teacher from Oberlin that's putting these ideas in his head. Meadow brings up The Stranger, which is a fantastic book, actually, by Albert Camus, one of my favorites. And they're talking about existentialism, nihilism, and philosophy. And, for a kid who's rebelling against his parents, these kind of themes, I think, really are attractive in a way, because it goes so against the parents who are religious and talk about, he's getting confirmed, and it's all about, it's a great teenage rebellion move to bring up
absolutely.
Nietzsche
and she also doesn't have, he asks them, why were we born? They don't have an answer. Carmela said Adam and Eve, and they're totally frustrated. I laughed out loud when Meadow is, sticking her 2 cents in. Go to your room. I mean, he's 1950s dad, go to your room. You don't want to fucking hear it. And, they are completely flustered and frustrated with what AJ's telling them. I mean, they're looking at each other. They have no answers. They're hemida, literally, It's pretty good. It's pretty goddamn good. It's a well-written scene, well acted. I love when he just chases them, He's threatening AJ.
It is good.
Pussy and Skip, they're at Pussy's house.
I didn't realize Pussy lived right on top of the cemetery, pretty much. Until this episode, we don't really know that yet, right? No. This is the first time that's revealed. It's a very obvious. He's got 1 foot in the grave, literally. So, and Skip is wearing a suit, which is really, he's putting Pussy at risk here, showing up at his house wearing a suit. He doesn't look like a guy from the neighborhood anymore. He looks like,
He looks like an FBI agent. It's 8:00 in the morning.
They're putting the screws to him.
He hands him the newspaper.
Ratcheting him. Yeah.
Sure. Hands him the newspaper, and he tells him, listen, you don't look like a guy that's, facing 30 years for heroin, right? He's pissed off. His wife throws out the garbage and looks up. His wife knows what's going on, I believe.
You think she knows, yeah?
I think she has an inkling.
She has an inkling as to who Skip is.
8:00 in the morning, they're on the balcony.
Yeah.
And Pussy's deflecting all the questions. He's doing this very reluctantly. He's doing it, but it's reluctant. He's got second, third, and fourth thoughts here, about becoming a rapper.
No, he's tortured, 100%.
He's too deep in. It's a good line talking about Philly is muscling in, kind of, and he goes, that's been going on since Moses wore short pants.
Right. That was a long time ago.
Did Moses wear short pants?
When he was young, he did, yeah.
Yes. Moses Malone wore
short pants. That's true. We cut from the cemetery here, death to death. Now we go to Melfi's office, and she asks about Livia, and he says, she's dead to me. It's almost another person that's dead to him in a way, because Pussy's going to be. But and like you said, they haven't spoken since she was on the gurney at the end of season 1.
7 episodes. I mean, quite a long time has passed. Think about all the things that have happened, right? She wants to go into the mother thing again. Tony doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want to hear it. He's kind of saying, it's my fault. This is my fault what's happening, he reverts back to himself again.
Yeah, and she says, the quote is, when some people first realize that they are solely responsible for their decisions, actions, and beliefs, and that death lies at the end of every road, they can be overcome with intense dread and anger. The only absolute is death.
He doesn't mind that idea.
She doesn't mind. He says, I think the kid's onto something,
Yeah.
She's trying to help him make sense of what this means. But I guess in some ways it's a reflection of how Tony probably thinks, right?
Sure, absolutely. There's a mirror here with him and his son. This whole thing. I mean, he's obviously a chip off the old block.
And Tony found out that he's a chip off his father's block. So because his father had
And so it goes.
Anxiety, and so it goes. Good point.
But movie set. Christopher visits the set with Amy.
Yeah, that's the basketball courts in my old neighborhood on the corner of Canal Street and
Canal and
Sixth Avenue. 6th Avenue and Canal, right behind the Soho Grand Hotel, where we filmed a lot of this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where
we shot it. We have Janine Garofalo, who I knew a little bit before The Sopranos. She used to come to the bar that we had.
She's great.
She's a really good actress.
I did a movie with her and David Schwimmer, and I did a short film with her. She's really a very funny comic, and I enjoyed her very much.
A very good actress. She actually did an episode of Law and Order called D-Girl back in the 90s.
Oh, really?
Which is weird. Yeah. And she's with Sandra Bernhard, who I just loved in King Comedy. I mean, that role was.
She stole the movie. She stole that movie with Jerry Lewis and.
She's so good when he's tied up and she starts taking her clothes off and seducing him. She's
great. She's great. I've run into her a bunch of times. I like her very much. I run into her in the city here and there. She's good. She's really good. And she was good in this. There wasn't a whole lot for them to do, but and then Jon Favreau, which you said, I've never met him, but you said you liked him very much.
We had a great time. I mean, he was a good sport about, he said, here I am playing myself and I'm an asshole, which he kind of, he liked. He liked doing
kind of an asshole, but not that much.
Not really, but he. It's not who he is. I mean, he's a very good guy.
Huge director.
We had a good time. They're shooting this independent movie, I guess, and it's called Female Suspects, and they're dying or whatever. And Chris, you could see, walks onto that set and is just, he's mesmerized.
He is, yes, absolutely.
He recognizes both of them, and both of the actresses, and he's very excited to be there. And then he bullshits and becomes just as Hollywood as everyone says how Swingers kicked ass, and he's happy. He immediately, goes into the Hollywood thing there. There's a line when they say the silencers of the gun underscore their voiceless place in society. It's kind of symbolic, like the bacala breastfeeding thing that we spoke about.
Yeah, bullshit.
Which that's I think more and more it's making sense to me though. That whole bullshit. I've been ruminating on it, and more this guy's got a point, Steve. I'm telling you.
First of all, that's Hollywood bullshit. That's esoteric bullshit. Sometimes things are just what they are, and even this line, and that's why it was put in there, because it's Hollywood bullshit. That's what the silencers meant. You know what I mean? Underscore the voices. It's nonsense. This is nonsense. This is.
I don't know. Listen. We've investigated these episodes. There's a lot of symbolism. There's a lot of recurring themes. We're getting to the bottom of it.
Listen, whoever wrote that to you, and I don't know who that is.
We don't know. Hopefully he'll get back in touch, or she.
Well, he's another bullshit. Another bullshit guy.
I like that they mentioned I've never had an egg cream, and she mentions a place on St. Mark's. That's referring to Gem Spa.
Just closed
on the corner of 2nd Avenue, St. Mark's. A famous photograph of the New York Dolls was taken right in front of Gem Spa. Just closed. Very sad.
Closed after over 100 years. It's a shame. Yeah, absolutely, positively. And then they need another line, and Christopher gives them Bukyak.
People refer to this a lot. A lot of fans bring up Bukyak all the time.
When you're walking down the street?
All the time. It's
really?
It's a fan favorite for some reason.
Oh, that's funny.
I don't know why. It's a funny word. People refer to it a lot. It's endured. It's
Well, he gave them the line. He gave them the word. They loved it.
And it makes him feel real good.
Absolutely. And it makes her feel good, too. She brought this guy. Look what he did.
Right.
Amy's also have a nice look on. I mean, all the way around. There's some bonding go on there. Christopher, maybe he does belong. Maybe he does belong here. You came up with that,
And I loved how when they said action, the director calls action, and then it cuts right to the scene with Tony and AJ in the car, almost like she's almost calling action on that scene. It's a very abrupt but smooth cut at the same
Now
time.
Christopher brings his script and it's in a Dunkin' Donuts bag. Product placement, shall we say.
You know, there's also parallels because it turns out that Jon Favreau's working on a project about Joe Gallo. And Joe Gallo was a mob guy who also was, you know, connected to a lot of like I think Jerry Orbach, who's, you know,
and David Steinberg. David Steinberg, I believe, was his best man.
So Joey Gallo was connected to a lot of the artists in downtown Manhattan. You know, he had 1 foot here and 1 foot there, kind of like what Christopher's, you know, trying to do here. So there's that other
Crazy Joe.
well.
Crazy Joe Gallo got gunned down at Umberto's. And not by, in the movie The Irishman, completely false. What's his name? Didn't kill him. The Sheehan, who claimed that he killed Hoffa, and he also killed Joe Gallo at Umberto's. I don't believe that to be true.
That's a lie. Another one of those good scenes between father and son, which
Great
they have
scene.
quite a bunch of them, and this is one of them. God is Dead, which is Friedrich Nietzsche, 19th century philosopher. He also said, there are no beautiful surfaces without a terrible depth. Also, whoever fights monsters should see to it that in the process he does not become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into the abyss will gaze back into you. Which is kind of like saying you are what you eat in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, you lean into darkness, you're going to become darkness in a way. You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. That's a good one.
Have you read a lot of his stuff?
I've read some of his stuff. I mean, he's actually, a very smart guy, obviously. I mean, he's a philosopher, and his work still is taught and read and discussed. I'm a Buddhist, so I have a very different, take on things, and that's my philosophy. Buddhist point of view is my philosophy. I mean, I don't, God is dead. A lot of that, nihilism, that this is it. You live here, you die, and there's no, real point to it or whatever. I don't know. I don't really buy into that stuff. I mean, I don't even know. I've never even discussed it.
Listen,
are you religious? I've known you 20 years. I don't even know what your philosophy is. All I want to do is
have a couple of fucking drinks, a good fucking sandwich, a few laughs. That's
well, we all do. But what do you think happens when we die?
I wish I knew the answer.
But you have no.
I don't know. I hope. I mean, I was raised Catholic. I don't know.
Heaven. So you believe in heaven and hell and stuff like that.
I guess. I don't know what I believe in. I guess I do. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't know.
So you don't know what you believe, or you don't know.
I don't know. Listen, I'll be honest. I don't know. My mother was Jewish. My father was raised Catholic. My kids were baptized. I mean, I don't really know. I mean, as you get older, I hope it's what it's supposed to be, but I honestly don't know. Like I told you, a couple of drinks, a good sandwich, what the fuck, a couple of good friends.
You don't ask for much. That's good.
I told you on my tombstone. It's going to say bullshit. It was all bullshit.
It was all bullshit. All right.
On my tombstone, it was all bullshit. There you go.
Well, they have this discussion, and he says, even if God is dead, you're still going to kiss his ass. So, Tony doesn't want to hear any of this bullshit. He doesn't really respect it or think much of it. It's my way or the highway, basically.
AJ doesn't want to get confirmed. He's pissed off. Very, very similar here, father and son. And next up, we go to the pizza store.
That's Queen Pizza on Halsey Street in Newark. Make a very good slice there, I have to say.
It's good?
Yeah.
Are you a pizza guy? You a pizza guy?
Who's not a pizza guy? You could see, though, the slice on camera. It looks like a good slice.
It looks good?
Yeah, it's good. It was a good slice. That's That's
What
been
do
there
you
a long
like?
time.
What pizza places you like in New York or wherever?
In New York, you know who makes a really good? My favorite by the slice is right by the Gardens, Pizza Supremo on 8th Avenue, right on. I think it's 32nd Street. I love their slice. It's
Oh
great.
yeah,
It's been there for many years, actually.
is that across the street? That's not on the side of the Garden. That's on the west side of the street.
It's on the west side of 8th Avenue.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a good slice.
I'm a Spumoni Garden guy.
That's a good slice. That's a whole different
Different
animal.
thing. I like Joe's.
Joe's in the Village.
I like Joe's in the
They
Village.
still make a good, yeah. I used to
like
live across the
Harry's.
street.
I like Harry's. Harry's Pizza, our friends there. You know, when I first moved to Vegas, I worked in a pizza store. You know, people were going, 1980, they're going, yeah, you moved to Vegas to work in a pizza store. I was making more money delivering pizza than my friends who were blackjack dealers.
Wow.
No lie.
Tips?
You know? And tips. The tips were pretty good, you know, because you're dealing with all these people that are working on tips. So, you know, I had a shitty car, 69 Javelin. I'm driving around. I eat for free. I bring pizza home. I'm trading our pizza like for fried chicken, for like Chinese food. You know, I'm doing the barter system.
There's a lot of bartering in Vegas.
A lot of bartering. So I'm giving them 2 pizzas for a bunch of Chinese food, because how much pizza could you eat night after night? Okay. So now there's a prick, Italian guy. He lives far, so it's kind of far to deliver. I go all the way out there. Guy doesn't give me $1, not one time. And he's nasty on the phone. You know, he's nasty. He's going, hey, make sure it's fucking hot, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the guy's fucking nasty. Yeah. Right? I'm 21, 22 years old.
You should never be nasty to people who are giving you food, serving you food.
Listen.
Bad idea.
You know, the guy doesn't tip. He's nasty. He's yelling. You know, my boss, you know, I told him about it. He said, you know, like kind of, in other words, just deliver the pizza and shut up. All right. Guy comes into the pizza place. I happen to be there. I'm not on the delivery. I recognize the fucking guy. He orders, I don't know, a few slices. They take that and a calzone. I said, I'll handle it. I tell the front counter guy. I deep fried the fucking calzone, because it wasn't, you know, it was just a regular pizza place. Deep fry it. I closed the door. I fucking got the calzone. I pissed all over it. Over the big wastebasket, right? And I fucking served it. You know, I gave it out there. He ate it. Complete satisfaction. Fuck you.
Wow.
Fuck you.
But that was the only time you did that, right?
It's the only time I ever did that. Another time when I was a bouncer, there was a guy who was an asshole. I don't know if I ever told you this story. Guy was an asshole. You weren't allowed to wear hats. I told you that story, right?
Yes.
And I pissed in the guy's hat.
Pissed in his hat. Right.
Yeah, but I never pissed in the food. But I heard stories.
I don't want
service waiters. Room service. Yeah.
Horrible.
Bad move. When a waiter has, you know, a long time between the kitchen and to bring your food to you, you better be nice.
You got to be nice, man. That's the way where it pays to tip, pays to be polite, all those things. Arturo's on Houston Street. I still like their pizza. And I like that place. I used to live next door to there. And
they got live music all the time. We love going in there. Live music.
Arturo's is great, yeah. Mount Vernon, where I'm from, still has this. I think it's Joe's on Broad Street is good. But it used to have Johnny's, which was really famous for really thin slice. They may still be there. People used to go from all over. And also the Lincoln Lounge, which was a famous place that closed like 2 years ago.
In Mount Vernon?
And pizza. Yeah, that was right on the border of the Bronx, right near the Bronx. People went from all over. Yeah, that's
I'm not familiar up there.
A lot of people hung out from Yonkers Raceway. People hung out at Lincoln Lounge. A lot of that folk, yeah.
Yeah, I like Arturo's. I like Il Brigante. I like Harry's. I like Da Vinci's in Brooklyn, 18th Avenue. Very underrated. Been there forever and ever from when I was a kid. But my number one pizza place for me, L&B Spumoni Garden in Brooklyn.
That's a good place. The Spumoni's good too.
It's great.
Yeah.
All right, now you got me hungry now.
So in the pizzeria, they're playing the song Swing Town. and they're talking about the movie Swingers, and then they're talking about a swing set. I guess there's a connection to all those things. Swingtown by Steve Miller Band, who I never really liked, to be honest. But
I
then
met him once.
Really, I never liked his music. Then Rhiannon comes on by Fleetwood Mac, who I do like very much. But they're in the pizzeria, and Chris is telling stories, and he likes being in this position of, the inside guy, the real guy. They're talking. Sure. I think it really flatters him, and he's, they're talking about his script. The script's a world he's interested in. He also talks about the restaurant across the street, which is not actually across the street. It was called Joe's Elbow Room. It's actually in Cliffside Park, where Willie Moretti got killed. He was Frank Sinatra's guy, mob guy, who helped him, with Tommy Dorsey. Apparently, he got killed because he was getting mentally ill from syphilis, and he was blabbing too much. And that's what Vito Genovese actually said that to Valachi. Really? In the Valachi papers, it came out that it was a mercy killing because he was syphilis-induced insanity.
Didn't Al Capone die of syphilis also?
He did too, yeah.
That's because they were going to those brothels.
That's back then. They didn't have the proper medication and whatever protection.
So you come in, Christopher comes in, everybody has a Coke and a slice, and they order Coke and a slice. They're two like schmos. Chris is leading the way here, and they're very enamored with this pizzeria in North Jersey, and Willie Moretti. They're very enamored with this, the two of them.
Yeah.
Even though he's from Queens, Favreau says I'm from Queens. He's a different kind of Queens guy.
But he probably spent most of his time in California or something.
Yeah.
They bring up the Joey Gallo thing, the gang who couldn't shoot straight. Chris says, they already did the gang who couldn't shoot straight, which is a comedy based on a book by Jimmy Breslin. The screenplay was written by Waldo Salt, who also did Midnight Cowboy. But De Niro's in it, and Jerry Orbach, and Hervé Villachez, who played Tattoo on Fantasy Island.
Your friend,
who I met. Yeah, I did know him. Well,
you hung out with him.
I did. Yeah, my brother and I did. He's gone and passed away. But it's a weird comedy movie. I think it's 1971, and De Niro, one of his early movies. I think might have been before Mean Streets.
Really?
Or maybe around the same time.
I remember seeing it a few times. It was okay.
It's okay, yeah. Jimmy Breslin wrote the book, and
Crazy Joe Gallo was kind of a renegade, like you said, different kind of guy. They blamed him for the murder of Joe Colombo at the Italian American Pride Day. Remember the whole Italian American?
But he didn't die there, did he, Colombo?
No. He was in a coma for like 7 years.
Right.
They blamed Joe Gallo for that, but I don't believe that's who
actually did it.
Yeah, or shot him. I don't believe he was behind it. Who it was, I don't know. But
what's funny though is Favreau actually did a mob movie, after this called Made that he I think wrote and directed. He wrote and directed, and Peter Falk was in it, as well as Dre DiMatteo, Vinnie Pastore, and Federico Castellucci.
And you didn't get a call for that?
I didn't get a call. Did you?
Me, I don't know the guy, but you worked with him. You probably didn't like what you did. Maybe when you were shadow boxing with him, whatever you're doing, he didn't like it.
Well, and then he did Iron Man. He's a big Hollywood director now. Well, what's the other one he did? He did he do The Avengers? I think he did that too.
Big
superhero movies.
So, Chris is showing them the ropes. He's regaling them in the story of Willie Moretti, and he tells a story about, the trans and the wise guy, that whole thing, which comes to play a big part. He's telling the story about the wise guy who thought he was with a girl, and it turned out it was really a guy, and he threw acid on him, and he tells him this story, and John.
Well, they see the transgendered woman in the pizzeria with the scarred up face. That
and they're eating it up. They're eating this story up, and John seems at some point though a little put off. This is not fake. This is real. Christopher's a real guy. I think at some point he's going. At first, it's like, wow. Then, you're telling him the story about the acid and the thing and the wise guy. Maybe it's getting a little too real for him. That's how I feel.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, and they just want what they want, and he's not going to become a partner with Christopher and make him. He just wants information.
He wants information. Sure, but do you know what I'm saying? I just feel that at first it's dang, Bukkake, dang, and now he's telling him these real stories. I mean, this is no joke. This life.
No, it's very violent and horrific. A lot.
And the closer you get to it, they go see Pussy, Uncle Pussy. I love that, Uncle Pussy. They go and see him. Tony pulls in with AJ. He gives him money, go get a soda. Uncle Pussy tells him, he tells AJ, he tells him, listen, you're the sponsor. You talk to him. He knows that a Big Pussy is a good dad, because we've seen that in episodes in season 1.
Yeah.
He kind of knows how to handle this kind of stuff. And he says 13 or 14-year-olds can get broody.
Right.
Pussy tells Tony.
He's been through it already. Yeah. And he knows it. He's
I don't know. Is that half moody, half what?
Brooding means like moody. And,
and Tony says he's starting to not want to be around his son. He said, I'm starting to not want to be around him, which is kind of a sad thing to say. Kids, acting.
Yeah, but teenagers can be a pain in the ass. You know that.
Yeah, of course. But Tony doesn't know. I mean, Tony doesn't know. Even Carmela, they don't know. They think everything's going to be perfect, and God and the priest and confirmation
and it's not. It's far from reality.
Christopher's apartment. Adriana's watching TV.
She's watching a video song called "She Caught My Mind" by Push Monkey, but "She Caught My Mind" I think refers to Christopher. That this woman has Amy has caught his mind. There's something there. He's definitely, he's attracted. He likes the attention that she's paying him, and he likes the position he's in, and she's very jealous that he was hanging out with them,
and that she didn't take him along.
That he didn't take her. Yeah.
And I honestly in this scene feel really bad for her. Here she is, kind of waiting. She wanted to go to the set. She saved the script. Slip him the script, as they say. And it's like, man, you didn't wait for me. You didn't take me.
No, he was embarrassed of her at the bar.
Yeah.
And the way she was talking, and he felt like she's not playing it cool. He's not really playing it much cooler, but in his mind, I guess he is.
And then, Chris says Vince Vaughn wasn't there.
Right.
I give a little Vince Vaughn zing because she had said earlier, he was cute and whatever.
Right.
The batting cages, Pussy and his son are trying to help AJ. Pussy's given some batting pointers to his son. He was in the batting cage. He said, "You're next." And AJ says he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to get confirmed. And Pussy says, if you're looking for a purpose in life, do what's right. That's your purpose, for your parents. And AJ quotes the rapper Master P.
Right. And Matt, Pussy's son, says, oh, you like rap? It's all about marketing, which is, we cut from that to Christopher, right, at the Soho Grand Hotel. I think there's a point being made there how Matt is saying rap, which was about gangsters, now it's marketing as entertainment, the same way they're doing a Christopher here, who's a gangster, and they want to market that to entertainment. I think that cut is very specific. And
you're very smart. I would have never caught that. You're very smart. All this Nietzsche and shit, I'm not that deep a thinker. That doesn't interest me in the least bit, I'll be honest with you.
Well, but those are the decisions you make, as a director, as an editor, or a filmmaker.
No, I think it's
how
fantastic.
These things piece together.
I don't mean that. I'm talking Nietzsche himself.
Oh, Nietzsche. I mean, I know. I've read Nietzsche. I had to look up those quotes. I didn't rattle those quotes off the top of my head. I don't have them memorized, but I am.
I have my own philosophy of life, and I'll stick to that. And so far, so good.
So
right?
far, so good. Yeah.
So far, so good. I'm 62. So far, so good. I'll have my own philosophy. I don't listen. I don't need to listen to you.
There you go.
All right.
You're not going to become a Scientologist.
No,
you're
I
not
told you
looking for that. No,
they tried. They
They
tried to reel me in.
They couldn't get you.
Couldn't get me.
Well, there's always hope. It's good for your career. That's for sure. That's what they say. I guess so.
Well, listen.
You can be in movies with Tom Cruise.
But for every star that's in Scientology, how many are the shit bums and they're not working? They work at whatever, you know? You ever think of that?
I do think of that.
You know?
Soho Grand, which is, I actually stayed, you know, when I didn't have an apartment in New York, I stayed there a lot. I like it a lot. It's a nice
hotel.
It's a good location.
Soho, nice neighborhood, absolutely. He wants to see, he's got an appointment, John Favreau. He's got the do not disturb on. Now, do you think he's ducking him?
He's ducking him, yeah. Maybe not even deliberately ducking him, but just not respecting him enough to keep his appointment. Maybe he's, you know what I mean?
But I think also in the pizzeria, I'm telling you.
He crossed the line for him.
Crossed a little bit, just that looking like, oh, this isn't a joke. This isn't fun and games. This guy's for real. Maybe he don't want to, he saw himself getting too close. Back off, right? He says, is Amy Sophia's room? He goes up to her room. She answers in a bathrobe. It's the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, her underwear is there. She moves the underwear twice. Christopher's saying this kind of thing is unacceptable where I come from, you know? And like I said, the parallels you're drawing between, you know, Big Pussy and Christopher, you know, talking about the business, one with the feds, one with Hollywood. It's interesting that what's being set up, but it's kind of hilarious. When he's talking about the script and the line, I don't know whether to shit or go blind, Christopher says he actually doesn't know. He's at a crossroads. And because his father gets cancer of the eye. I mean, it's very funny. I mean, listen, God bless him. He tried, you know, he tried hard, Christopher.
It's very funny. And he brings a sandwich. He says, I brought him the best sandwich. He said, do you want it? She says, no, I just brushed my teeth.
Oh, he says Rocco was fucking 2 Asian strippers, and he goes, "Well, that's a plot point." Yeah. You know, so he's got the technical jargon of script writing down, you know, and he's translated it.
He's saying he's having a hard time with the arc and Act 2 and Act 3
into his arc,
and she completely seduces him. Come and sit on the bed.
Yeah, it wasn't that hard to seduce. Listen, he's fine with it.
I understand that, but ever since you whispered in that guy's ear, she's had the hot. Amy had the hots for Christopher there. You know, we saw that it was very. She explains the 7 needs to him.
Right, the 7 needs.
That's her technique. I'm sure you're not. Christopher wasn't the only guy she gave the 7 needs shtick to. You know, that was her thing.
No, not at all. Right? And she's a type of woman that he hasn't come across really, you know what I mean? She's from Hollywood. She's
nice, sweet. Well, you could see when he sits down, he's going, "Wow, I could get used to this." You know, nice, sweet, blah blah blah.
And then they're talking about the needs, and you cut to Livia, who's the ultimate nihilist in a way. When you're talking about these philosophies, who just basically, everything's just. Don't expect happiness. People let you down. In the end, you die in your own arms. It's all a big nothing. It's just basically nihilism defined right there. Again, she's bringing up her horror stories that she reads in the news.
Kids got incinerated.
It's always about kids.
She wasn't sleeping. She was awake. And she didn't even know who walked in. But she said, "You woke me." She was wide awake. And she
was wide awake, but she likes to,
And he said Uncle Pussy said you were old, and you kind of have knowledge, and she goes
wisdom.
Oh, that one's mother. She got
that one's mother, right? But her wisdom is basically what he's been learning in school. About these what these philosophers are saying, especially Nietzsche. What's interesting though. About the safety belt. She's saying the kids died because they had safety belts on.
Yeah.
And in the next episode, Sean, played by Chris Tardio, dies because he's stuck with the seatbelt. Christopher shoots him.
Okay.
And he's like, this fucking seatbelt.
I didn't watch the next episode yet.
Yeah. Interesting.
And then she tells AJ to tell his father to go shit in his hat. And you die in your own arms, and
it's all a big nothing.
She scares him. It's a great scene. Once again, Robert Isla.
And Nancy. Jesus.
Great.
Tremendous there.
Hotel room. Now, Chris is doing coke. Is John doing the coke?
Doesn't appear. No, I think Chris brought it. Probably thinks, I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe John bought it for him. Who knows?
Yeah. Chris, now he insults swingers for the second time.
He keeps saying, come on. He calls them yo money. Come on, yo money. I guess that's what they say in swingers a lot. They call they're like, yo money. And he's like, come on, yo money. Come on, yo money. He's calling him that because that's what they say in swingers a lot.
John's a little uncomfortable. Chris is sky high. He wants to know if he's packing. Are you strapped? And then he wants to ask the question, did you ever kill anyone? He says, no, it stays in this room.
Right. Yeah. And then he says, did you ever? No. Did I ever what? And he gets.
If he would have said, did you ever kill anyone? Do you think Christopher would have told him?
I think he would have affirmed it without admitting it. You know what I mean?
And then Chris is shadow boxing with him.
Because Favreau played Rocky Marciano in a movie.
Yeah, very obnoxious. Pulls out the gun, throws it to him, pointing at him, gets him in a headlock. Very obnoxious. And Favreau, this turns him off completely.
Favreau wipes his fingerprints off the gun, which is a great touch. I don't know. That might have been John's idea. It was very, very cool. But Christopher, his character, which I think is hilarious. The character in the script wears taps on his shoes, which makes no sense.
He gives him the idea that it's soft tar on the roof.
Which Christopher thinks is.
It's really funny. It's really, really. There's so many funny things in the script. Next, we go to the restaurant. Carmela and Adriana, Tony, they're at the table. Christopher, of course, he's late again.
I mean, I would never really realize how much he's late. I mean, he's late pretty much for everything.
Yeah. And he's high. He's very high. And this is Mondocati's, I believe, in Long Island City.
Oh, that's a good restaurant.
Is that where you said?
Is that where they shot it?
I believe that's Mondocati's.
That's a really good restaurant.
Great restaurant in Long Island City. I've eaten there a lot of times. We shot Blue Bloods in there. It's really good.
And Christopher is depressed. That whole thing that in season 1 we spoke about, the regularness of life. So he's coming from this movie star and these showbiz people in Manhattan in the hotel suite, and these people are interested in him. And it's a high, besides the coke, it's a high being, in this world. And now he's back and they're talking about food and it's the same old shit. And they're talking about weddings and it's really bums him out. He just,
And he pours his wine into the dish. And Tony says, when you're married, you'll understand the importance of fresh produce.
Yeah, it is pretty funny. But he does say food. It's all everyone talks about. And very often, sometimes they've talked too much about food. And the focus is, he's obviously not hungry because he's high, but.
And they like pushing. What about a double wedding? We're not even engaged yet. They kind of, he hasn't proposed to her. He kind of gets ambushed. I mean, first of all, he's high. He comes and sits there, and then they're talking about the wedding and her friends getting married and a double wedding. I mean, it's like.
It's shit that he doesn't give a shit about. And he really.
Now. Yeah.
No, he wants to get his he wants to have a movie career.
And then at the end, she mentions, after he storms off, Adriana mentions, she helps she supports him with the screenplay. Tony hears that.
And then you cut to Pussy, which that's what I'm saying, these parallels. But Dre is really great in that moment when she's, the hurt and the betrayal and her feeling when she says, fuck him. She's very, very good in that scene. And you cut to Pussy and they kind of, Skip kind of lays the law and really shows who they are. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Who the FBI
well, they've
is.
had enough, though. They've had enough.
We've had enough. We're not your friend. We're not your buddy. We're not relating to each other, comparing notes anymore. He says, who the fuck is sponsoring you, motherfucker?
Yeah. They
You're
want
working
him to wear
for
the
us.
wire. He says, I'm going to wear a wire in God's house. Meeting in church. No, we're interested in God's. He's murdered people. They're worried about wearing a wire in church. This is the contradictions. Yeah. He's murdered how many people, but don't wear a wire in church, okay?
But they really, they basically should say to him, the buddy shit is over. You're working for us, and you're going to do what we say. And
he's kept them at bay for quite a long time. Next scene, the hotel lobby. Christopher's waiting for Amy. They go upstairs.
He invites her to dinner at Umberto's, which is where Joey Gallo was shot. Not far away from the hotel. It's a few blocks away, actually.
And she mentions she sat next to Alphonse D'Amato. What was he? Senator? Yeah. Was he a schmuck? Is he a schmucky guy?
I don't remember much about him.
He was at one time very popular. I know.
I don't think he was a schmuck. I don't know.
No.
I'm not sure. I don't remember.
Well, if you're a schmuck, Al, we'd love to hear from you.
And if you're not, we love you, Al. I don't remember. I think we met him one time, didn't you? Didn't we? At some event or something?
I don't know, maybe. And Umberto's is walking distance to the Soho Grand. She's all dressed up, and they're in the elevator. They have sex. Now, it's the next morning. They're hanging out, pillow talk. They're talking about...
I like how she said, what did you say to that guy? And he said, you be a good boy and I'll let this girl blow you. And she laughs, and it's a very genuine laugh. I just liked how she did it. It was really good.
She went to Yale. The father was a doctor. Jews have their own Kostra Nostra. The part comes up about his
skinny
cousin.
guinea. He says, you ever what did he say? Something, ever shag another skinny guinea? And he goes, oh, fuck, my cousin. And she's like...
She runs into the bathroom, locks herself in. Chris is looking at the script, the Joe Gallo script, and Jon Favreau has used his story about the
wise guy and the transgendered woman that he put the acid on, and he flips out because they're going to know where that story came from. And
Chris is livid.
Yeah, and his life is in danger. He's furious. We cut to the movie studio, which is Silver Cup. The location of the movie studio is Silver Cup Studio, where we shot.
Yeah. And it's on the outside. Chris can't get in. He sees Janine Garofalo. He asks where Favreau is, and he curses at him in Italian, and she says, I could use that. It's a very funny little thing.
She can use that. Yeah, she's still trying
to I could use that.
He's not interested anymore in that. He's got bigger fish to fry. She's wearing a Churchill's t-shirt, which is her band, and Meadow wears a Churchill shirt in season 1, I think. I think it was friends of Chris Collins or something, that band.
Is that it? Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Not Juliet?
I think they were friends with Chris. Maybe someone else in the wardrobe department. I could be wrong.
Pussy's house, getting ready for AJ's confirmation.
And this is a great scene. Vinny really knocked it out of the park here.
He's upset. He's trying to, shave his chest to
yeah. It's a big whatever. That transmitter is big. Is that the same size as the wingometer? Is it about the same size?
The wingometer is a little bit bigger.
A little bit bigger.
We're due for a wingometer, but he hasn't been around that long.
I tried to get one on Amazon. They said they can't deliver it till August.
Sold out during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Everyone's checking the wings.
I'm trying to get it.
She opens the bathroom door with the key. She's trying to get in to get ready, and he's getting ready, putting the wire on. He's deathly afraid she's going to find out. She gets the key, opens the door. He kind of attacks her, and he had thrown the mirror out earlier, and the son breaks it up, and then the big pussy's very upset here. He's bleeding from where he shaved his chest, and it's a
great scene, man. It's great, well acted.
It's a great scene, but it's a bad.
That's horrible.
I say it's a bad scene. It's a horrible situation, but well done by everyone involved. The UTA office, correct?
Yeah, they're going to see David DiCamillo, who was a real agent who actually represented Janine Garofalo one time. He used to be UTA. I think he's at Gersh now, but it's a real Hollywood agent. UTA was David Chase's agency at that time and my agent at the time of the shooting.
So they're there. And
she's done with Christopher.
Yeah. She just used them for what she wanted and moved on. That was it. You know what I mean? And they're not in the same league. She can never date a guy like Christopher. You know what I mean? And so Christopher is livid. You know, he's yelling at her. He's yelling at her. She's getting ready to go in to a meeting. He's yelling at her. And she says, since Mickey Blue Eyes didn't do that well overseas, Mickey Blue Eyes, which Johnny V was in, and
Frank Pellegrino, Tony
Frank
Sirico,
Pellegrino, and Joe Vitarelli, and a whole
Aida.
bunch of Vinny Pastore.
Yeah,
It was a good movie. I liked that.
James Caan, right?
It was a really good movie. James Caan and what's his name? The English actor.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant. Yeah. She says, since Mickey, just an excuse. They're not interested in mob movies.
Right. The day before, she said mob movies are always, hot, and now they're not. It's Hollywood bullshit, basically. She uses those buzzwords. Well, I'll touch base. We'll take a look at anything else you write, which is
it's all bullshit. This is all a big. And then Chris says, "I really liked you," and she kind of laughs at him.
Yeah.
And then it's William
Inge was a playwright. He wrote a play called The Dark at the Top of the Stairs. Maybe she's referring to that because she's at the top of the stairs. I don't know. He also wrote Picnic and Bus Stop. And,
she kind of laughed at him almost like, really? You really like me? You thought this was going somewhere? She just basically kind of used him. She was very enthralled with him from the moment they met, actually.
And I think he is kind of, besides just being used for the story shit, I think emotionally he felt something for her.
Well, it also probably doesn't happen to him. In Christopher's world, he's a big to-do.
Yeah, he had a crush on her.
And she, the sweet, the thing, the atmosphere. He calls her the ultimate insult, a D-girl.
Right.
She does not like that. That hits her wick, man.
That hits her wick. She says, I'm a
vice president. Right. And she's pissed off.
She didn't like that.
Soprano house, the party after the confirmation. Pussy and his family arrive. Pussy's trying to get a little information about this Weischuck. I heard we won't be bothered anymore from our neighbor. All Tony gives him is, he's no neighbor of mine. That's the guy that got blown up that the FBI wants to know about. Richie and Janice show up. Richie right away. Resorts International in here. Right away, he's giving him a little fucking shot. You got a big house. You got a lot of money. Richie jealous always. Yeah. And Tony gives him one, we count the silverware.
But now Janice is not Parvati anymore. She introduces herself as Janice. She's not dressed like a hippie anymore. She's very conservative.
She's like a mobster's wife.
He's a mobster's wife.
He's a boss, right? He's a made guy. He's a boss, and she's playing that role. The Soprano house. He goes down to get Ice, AJ, and his friend. They're smoking weed, and Tony's pissed off. And be a good Catholic for 15 fucking minutes. That's what Carmela says. Be a good Catholic. Everything is so out of whack here. Out of what Tony does for a living, the church, the confirmation. He's smoking weed. What kind of animal smokes marijuana at his own confirmation?
That's a good one.
No truer words have been said.
Yeah, that's a good line.
Tony walks in, Pussy in the hallway. His kid's down there getting high. And Pussy wants to talk to him. He goes up to the room. He explains how well he knows his father, and he knows him since they're young kids. Pussy's reminiscing, feeling terrible about what he's doing.
The feds are listening in the van. I love the line. He goes, well, my dad did all these great things then before he was my dad. Now he's just an asshole.
Yeah. And, and Pussy's explaining how Tony was there for him every day when his sister died of spinal meningitis. So Pussy's upset. He cries. He hugs AJ, and he says, your father will catch a bullet for you.
Yeah, Pussy knows things are going to come to a bad end here.
Yeah.
He's reminded of
it's a good scene.
Father
good
and
scene.
a friend. It's very complicated. Yeah.
Very good scene. The house party, Christopher, late again. He kind of gives him an ultimatum. I'm going to go back in there. You got 10 minutes. Chris gives the boost, of course.
Wrinkly envelope. It's
all dirty, and he scraped the bills together. And Tony gives him an ultimatum. If you're with me, you got 10 minutes. Think about it. You're with me or not. Christopher goes outside. He thinks.
And he chooses to forget his movie dreams for now, because later on, he picks up again. He picks this up again.
He's thinking about it, but he does think about it. He goes back in the house, and Pussy, they're looking for Pussy to take a family picture, and we see him bawling his eyes out. It's a great scene at the end. He's sitting in the bathroom. In Tony
the music,
Soprano's house.
that's a good piece.
And he's wired. He's still wired, and he's crying his eyes out. Terrible.
Yeah, it's Vede Maria by Emma. What's her name? Emma Chaplin.
Great episode by everyone involved. Really well written. And,
it is a good episode. And this Hollywood crossover with real famous people in it. It's, I guess, the first time that really happened. But it worked, I think. I liked it.
Yeah, it was great. And this was early on. The show wasn't a huge hit, and they all agreed to do it. They must have been fans of the show.
Well, the show had a buzz. It wasn't what it.
Yeah. You know what I mean. I'm sure.
Yeah, they were already watching it. Yeah, without a doubt.
It was very well done. I liked it a lot. A different kind of episode.
Different episode, yeah.
Different kind. Carmela is just so contradictory. It's amazing to me. She wants everything perfect. But yet, acting.
That's the
cursing,
show. Yeah.
Cursing and good one. This is a really good one. All right, what do we got here? It's time for the Talking Sopranos Ask Me Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question is Matt from Tupelo, Mississippi. And we're sending Matt a pair of Bose headphones.
That's the birthplace of Elvis Presley, right? Tupelo.
Was it?
Yeah. He grew up, he lived in Memphis at some point when he was young. He moved there, but he was born in Tupelo. Okay, Matt. He asks us, how would you compare the cultural zeitgeist of The Sopranos to any other significant piece of art in your lifetimes? For example, the Beatles changing pop music forever. Do you guys feel like you will go down in history? I'm 22 and just finished my second binge of The Sopranos. Cheers from Mississippi. When the show went on the air in 99, January 99, the fans were kind of forced to watch it because the reviews were so over the top. To the point where Saturday Night Live did a spoof of the reviews of The Sopranos because they were just hyperbolic. They were, incredible. And the New York Times called The Sopranos one of the greatest works of pop culture in the 20th century, really. Which is really a big title, to put on a show and puts a lot of pressure.
And especially coming from the New York Times.
Yeah, I do think we'll go down in history. I did. The fact that, Matt, you're 22, you were, barely, when we went 22, so you were not even born when we shot the pilot. And you're binging it for the second time and writing questions to us and listening to the podcast, which means that we're already having a longevity that most shows never have, after being on the air for so long. But, what The Sopranos did was it brought a cinematic quality to television. Like what people would go to the movies for, we were bringing onto TV week to week. And I think that was people really were ready for it, and viewing television started to change then too. With cable, with series on cable, now you can have violence, or you can have a lot darker topics and themes, or sexual themes and nudity and cursing. You don't have commercials on HBO. You could watch it more like a movie. It was that transitioning of television, moving from what was traditional into something that was much more cinematic, much more like a movie experience. And it opened the floodgates for a lot of great writing talent and, directing and acting talent to really get more complex and push the envelope and just get more interesting, I think.
Do you think 50 years from now, they'll be watching The Sopranos the way we watch The Honeymooners?
I think so, yeah. I think so. I grew up watching The Honeymooners. I've seen there's 39 of the main, there's those lost episodes from the Jackie Gleason show, but there's 39 of Honeymooners when it was its own half-hour show. I've seen them, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of times. I still laugh watching. I know exactly what they're going to do, what they're going to say.
Well, it's like Seinfeld also. It makes me laugh, and I've seen them all, and that's going on 30 years.
Yeah.
Now, there's certain shows that are still on, from way back when. There's still popular shows from the 60s or 70s,
I've been watching Odd Couple.
Odd Couple's a great,
I've been watching a lot of those.
Great underrated sitcom. Great.
Very funny.
One of my favorite. Yeah. So you think 50 years from now, when we're long gone, we're dead and buried, they're gonna be watching us on a?
I do.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Do you?
I think so. I think so. It depends how the world changes. If they still accept the violence and the stuff that went on, I don't know what's going to happen 50 years from now. The sex stuff, the violence, the cursing. Does it become a cleansed world? I don't know. I don't know if we're even here. We're trying to make it to the fucking end of this year.
This month. Will the species still be on the planet by then? Who knows? But thank you, Matt. Thanks for the question. Hope you enjoy your headphones.
Thanks for listening. And remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook. And please subscribe to us on YouTube.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Producer is Andy Verderam. Our theme music was composed and performed by Elijah Amerton. Now, you could hear more of Elijah's music and also the band Zopa, which Elijah and I both play in together. You can hear our stuff by clicking the links on TalkingSopranos.com. Our production crew includes Eric Desi, Bobby Hutch, Frank McKay, Ty Verderam, and Sierra Schirripa. Talking Sopranos is a Pod Jams production.
All right, pal. I'll see you. I'm eating pizza tonight. I decided.
Sounds like a good idea.
You got me hungry for pizza.
All right.
Don't order a calzone.
I'll never have you spoiled them forever for me. Thank you. See you later.